Welcome to Canada's podcast.
Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Edmonton's podcast on Canada's Podcast Network. Joining me today is Hifa Maleki, who is a partner in the El Corazon YEG establishment in Edmonton. Thanks for joining us today, Hifa.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let me ask you, first of all, just maybe describe for me what El Corazon is.
El Corazon is a Latin-inspired restaurant. So we have a lot of Latin influence from a lot of different places. We have Spanish, Mexican, Cuban, Dominican. Our chef's actually Dominican. And so we really wanted to bring a lot of fun and flair and energy from the Latin culture and, bring it in a great and beautiful environment in Edmonton.
All right. And how did this come about? Like, I know your background, you've been involved in other kind of restaurant establishments, and you've also been in the fitness industry. How did you come to become an owner of a restaurant?
It's actually a pretty funny story. So, I hate to go back because it's going to take everyone into the PTSD of COVID. But in March 2020, everything closed down, and I was, working with Orangetheory, and we had just closed 115 locations. So, that was pretty traumatizing and a lot of work. And one of my really good friends reaches out to me in April when everything is shut down. No one knows what the future looks like. And he goes, there's this really great opportunity for us to open a restaurant. And I literally were on Zoom and I'm like, you're actually a crazy person. That's not happening. Like, no one knows what the world is going to look like. Like, he's a dreamer. We'll call it first. He's a dreamer. So I said, I don't think it's something that I can do right now because, I'm focused on fitness and I don't know what the world is going to look like. But, I'll help you with the business plan. Happy to help put it together. And I feel like he saw a little bit of a glimmer and he just held on to that until it shined really bright. So I feel like I got kind of pressured and bullied through the business plan to really leave what I was doing. But the reality is that as we were building that plan and working together, there are two things that I really saw. One was a really great business, really great idea, something that, Edmonton doesn't really have. And for myself, I was in the hospitality industry for 15 plus years prior to stepping into fitness and development. And I thought I would never go back. And as I'm building it, it's like that my heart started to beat faster every time I would, work on that project. Then the other part of it was, I've always helped business owners. I've been in franchising for 11 years. Prior to stepping into this project and helped entrepreneurs really bring something to life and always wanted to do something. And working with Percy on the project, I thought this is my opportunity because I have someone that I really trust that really knows their stuff. And so I felt like it had really good synergy for me to comfortably and confidently, even through COVID, step out and work on something special.
So when did you actually open?
We opened April 7th.
Of
2022.
Of 2022. Okay, then.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're still dealing with stuff at that time. What were the major challenges of opening and starting a new business during a so-called pandemic?
There was a lot of challenges. One was our open date kept getting pushed, our construction date kept getting pushed.
Yeah.
The procurement of any goods that were custom, like millwork, and even trying to get a cooler, just trying to procure anything and purchase anything. We had a significant delay just getting something as simple as a cooler, right? So it's just as soon as things started opening up, I feel like a lot of other entrepreneurs were jumping at the opportunity. There just wasn't enough goods because manufacturing stopped for a lot of industries. So that really caused a lot of delays.
Now, when you mentioned the concept that, Latin flavored and Latin inspired, are you Latin?
I'm not Latin. I'm Iranian.
Oh, okay. So that begs the question, right? Why this line of food then?
Why Latin? Well, there's a few things. Percy actually was a part owner of a nightclub and lounge in Tulum for a few years. So he has a little bit of experience, and exposure actually with the Mexican market.
Okay.
And for myself, I was really lucky. Orangetheory's head office is in Florida. And so I had the benefit of going there a lot. And one thing that's so, I feel, attractive and vibrant about Florida, other than the weather, is there is such an incredible Latin influence everywhere. There are Mexican restaurants and Peruvian restaurants. And even if you go to just a regular restaurant, all American, you still see that Latin influence. It's also really energetic. The flavors are amazing. You work a lot more with fresh ingredients. And for us, we're really we try to eat really healthy. And I mean, you don't always have time in business to go home and make a dinner. So we wanted to open something that also had the ability through the use of ingredients to really offer something fresh and kind of guilt-free in a sense. And we felt that with Latin food, we could really do that. And it's very diverse. Rather than just opening a Mexican restaurant, being able to open Latin and bring influences and flavors and dishes from all over, like all these other Latin places, really gave us a bit more range.
Oh, interesting. And just out of curiosity, where are you located in Edmonton?
We're at El Corazon's located in the West Block building. It's on 141st Street and Stony Plain Road.
Okay, and what kind of neighborhood is that?
It's one of my favorite neighborhoods because I grew up in it. So it's actually in the Glenora neighborhood. It's very
Yeah.
close to Crestwood and Grosvenor and Westmount area. So we're actually right in the Glenora area. Actually, lived in Glenora. My mom lives in Glenora. I lived in Grosvenor. My sister lives in Crestwood. So very familiar with that area.
Oh, wonderful.
I love it.
Any thoughts of looking at even expanding the concept?
Absolutely. I mean, part of the reason we decided to do this is we're actually looking to open 10 restaurants throughout Edmonton. Originally, we were going to do 10 across Western Canada, but we really love Edmonton, right? And we're watching what a lot of other groups are doing in North America. And when you can really invest your time and effort and passion into your home city, there's a number one, a lot of opportunity, but also like this is where our heart is. This is what we want to do. We want to bring different concepts into Edmonton. So we will for sure. Our goal is to open another, at least one El Corazon, but we're already working on a couple other concepts that are going to be opening in. One will for sure be opening in early 2024, and we're working on a couple others as well that'll be opening soon after.
All right, let's talk a little bit about your background in the food industry. I see on your LinkedIn profile that you worked for Joey. You also worked for Famoso. What drew you into this, I guess, food industry and restaurant industry?
What's really interesting about the food industry, which I love, is it's a very people-driven business. There's a lot of times you would go home after, running a busy restaurant, seeing, at Joey's South Common, you'd see a thousand people in a day, sometimes on a busy patio day. And you'd go home and you have to almost remind yourself that it's food and beverage because it's so people focused. I feel like that's really what kept me in the industry is you have the opportunity to work with a lot of really young people and really establish them and their mindset and culture around being good people, caring about people, really caring about the experiences that they're giving, being really good to each other. I mean, at some points, you'd have 200 staff that you're managing, and in order to really retain them and also drive sales and culture, you have to spend the time making sure that people are happy and they feel cared for and appreciated in order for them to deliver that same with the rest of the staff as well as the guests. So what really kept me in hospitality is that the business is very centered around people and interactions. And I love that. Like if I had a really bad day, it was a very special thing to just go on the floor. You just go on the floor and you just talk to people and get lost in their experiences. Whereas in business, I mean, I love Orangetheory, but if you had a really bad day, you just had to kind of deal with it. So you just had to thrive in the chaos and sit in your office and, just deal with it. Whereas here you could really, in the hospitality industry, you can really get lost. And even now, being a business owner, I have a whole management team. My favorite is going in on Friday, Saturday nights and just going on the floor. It's just no agenda other than have fun, make sure the team is having a really good time, and guests are taken care of and entertained. It's just it's a very special thing.
So tell me, or tell our listeners and viewers here a little bit about your background with Orangetheory Fitness and what you did there.
Well, I started with Orange Theory in 2015 when there was just about 10 locations, and our head office, I always laugh, was actually the back storage room of one of the locations in Edmonton. And there's two and a half of us that worked for the company. One of our employees actually was a hybrid that also worked for World Health, and I was hired to help build the operations and development of the entire company and build the team. Our original goal was to open maybe 50 locations, didn't even know what that was going to look like. And by, I'd say, a year and a half in, we were over 50. We had 57 locations. And so we really saw that something special was about to happen. So by year three, with myself and the company, we actually opened our 100th location, which was a surreal thing. Standing in that location, I was very much in shock that we actually did it. And I mean, Orange Theory was such a great opportunity, not only being able to build the operations model and build distribution, and bring a lot of the procurement in that from the US into Canada to drop costs. And I learned a lot about that, but also really building that development plan in the team. We started with 2.5 team members. By the time I left, we had almost 30 across Canada, which, is not a very easy thing to do, but knock on wood, we really did it. And we're blessed to find some really great people. But yeah, took the company from 10 to about 120 in my time there. And we actually opened over a dozen locations through COVID as well. So, yeah.
Obviously the fitness industry was one of the hardest hit during COVID. What impact did it have for you guys when you worked at Orange Theory? And I'm also curious of just what you learned as a business person through this whole COVID experience.
Well, there's a few things I learned. Number one was, that became a pivotal moment. I've always cared about people. I feel like even if you were to ask any of the franchisees that worked with me, I was someone that really did support them and care about them. And if they called, I answered. Unless I was in a meeting, I'd call them back to have integrity and make that proper statement. But really through COVID, the level of care you had to have for not only just the businesses, but the humans that were behind it. People were standing to lose their homes, not being able to feed themselves and feed their kids, and putting everything that they had in it. So what I really learned was you had to be really selfless as someone running an organization at that magnitude. Closing 115 locations, in one day with no notice, and then trying to do everything you can to open every single one of them every chance you got was, it was challenging. But what really did fuel myself and the team was, we're doing this for people. We're not doing this for the brand. We're doing this because there are people that are absolutely emotionally and financially connected to this. And this is our responsibility. So really, I felt that it was the first time I really understood what it meant to be an owner, because I had to fight so hard for them constantly every single day. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about El Corazon again. What's the name? What's the name mean, and where does it come from?
The name means the heart. And so the reason that we call it that is, a lot of people put their heart in their business. We put our heart around it and want people to walk into it.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
And you got a favorite dish there?
Oh my gosh, I have quite a few favorite dishes. The staff would absolutely advocate that I love the Kalamata and green olive tapenade. I absolutely love it. I am a sucker for olives. If I ever walk in anywhere, in any restaurants, not just anywhere random, if I see olives on the menu, I am eating the olives. It's just going to happen.
You and me.
I'm obsessed. My guilty pleasure is the Argentinian provoleta. It's smoked mozza and smoked provolone marinated in chimichurri and then baked. So it's delicious and cheesy and kind of citrusy. And it's served with chapa bread. It is absolutely amazing.
Okay, now I'm really ticked off at myself because I had my wife and I came to Edmonton, I think 4 times last summer. I wish I would have known that you guys were open, but next summer for sure.
well, now you're coming and you're gonna try some delicious cocktails, and I'm gonna feed you. I'm gonna feed you until you have to crawl out. We have to roll you out of the restaurant in a wagon.
Hifa, did you grew up in Edmonton?
I did. Yeah, we left Iran when I was about a year and a half. We were
Oh,
refugees. We were
oh,
in Pakistan. Yeah, we were in Pakistan for a year and a half, and then we actually got sent to Edmonton because my dad's a machinist, and there was a big oil boom. So as refugees, I mean, our families all got split all over the world, and we were the only ones that were sent to Edmonton. And I've grown up in Edmonton ever since. So it's been a really happy 36 years, and I will never leave.
what did you want to do when you grew up?
Uh,
Not
I originally,
Probably not
I
be a
mean,
restaurant owner, right? Okay.
I mean, when I was little, I wanted to be a paleontologist. You
Oh wow.
know, oh yeah, I was like obsessed with dinosaurs. I still am. I'm that weird friend everyone sends dinosaur memes to and buys dinosaur stuff for, but and I'm grown, but it's okay. It's a healthy passion. But I wanted to be a lawyer.
Oh wow.
And yeah, I wanted to help people through law as much as I could. And I feel like in franchising, I got to live that. I felt like I had to be a lawyer with all the agreements and that. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do when I grew up.
Now, being obviously an entrepreneur like yourself right now, it's a busy time. Your business is always on your mind. As an entrepreneur, I'm just curious. How do you find that work-life balance? What do you do for work-life balance?
Well, for myself, my perspective is this: if you love what you do, work doesn't feel like work. And for anyone that knows me, it's always how when I worked at Joey, it was how's Joey? Not how are you? I was always I was second to business in Orangetheory, how's OTF? And then it's like, oh yeah, how are you? I'm good actually. Thanks for asking. And so, but I take a lot of pride in that. I really when I do something, I like to throw myself into it. And what I do for myself is I spend 30 minutes minimum a day, whether it's, if I'm cooking a really great meal or I'm working out. I really believe in that active self-medication and self-care, 30 minutes a day. I No matter what, and people know, I mean, if I get home at midnight from a busy day at the restaurant, I'm running on the treadmill for 30 minutes.
Uh-huh.
It's just what's happening. It doesn't matter if it's 5 a.m., it doesn't matter if it's midnight or 1 a.m.
Yeah.
We'll spend that 30 minutes no matter what. You need that recharge. And
Yeah.
that's what kind of fuels me to just stay as busy as I need to be.
Oh, wonderful. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Hifa, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice chatting with you.
Okay. And I will definitely call you and come to Edmonton this
You
summer.
have to. I'm going to hold you to it.
Okay, wonderful. That was Hifa Maleki, owner and partner with El Corazon YEG. I'm Mario Toneguzzi. This has been Edmonton's podcast on Canada's Podcast Network. Thanks for joining us today.